Raw and unfiltered.
Raw, unfiltered, one take. Get my little note sheet here. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Booyah podcast. And today, I am very excited because I've got an amazing, what do we got? Singer, songwriter, bassist, guitarist too, right? You
Sure,
play guitar.
yeah. I fake it till I make it.
Music coordinator, good times curator here at Arch Street Tavern. And did I miss anything else?
No. Yeah. Thank you, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, man. I wanna get people to know a little bit more about Ian, not just as the guy that is always here greeting them with a smile at Booyah night or a weekend show, but I want to tell them a little bit more about, I don't know, give me some backstory. Like, what's the first memory you have of playing music?
Oh wow, that's way back. Well, I actually I was started pretty young with music because my parents thankfully enrolled me in this program called Kinder Music. When I was like young, like maybe like 3 or 4.
Yep.
And
whoa, okay.
Yeah, maybe a little older, because maybe I wouldn't remember that if I was 3 or 4. I don't know. Let's just say 4. Let's say 4. But they had us playing like a little bit of piano, glockenspiel.
Yep.
And
like the Little Tykes version.
Yeah, exactly. I think I still have it. And the this like weird like guitar box thing that we made.
Okay.
And actually, our guitarist Zach was also in that program with me, but I didn't know him at the time. Anyway.
Did you guys learn this later in life that you happened to be in the same program growing up?
I think our moms were like, hey.
At a one-time weekend show way in the future, they're like, I know you.
Yeah, wait a second. Because we both had this teacher, Laura Friday, and so her teaching that class is probably the first memory I have of music. And I remember singing this song. It's an old Canadian folk song that like is about like your paddle flashing silver in the water or something.
Oh. And
that was the first thing I ever remember singing. So
those really cool.
Memories, yeah.
That's a really cool memory. You started really young on music.
Yeah.
For me, I started basically middle school.
Okay.
And I didn't start playing drums like for real until high school.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm like total late bloomer.
Yeah, but the music's always been inside you though. That's the thing.
For sure. Yeah, you know, like I could dig further back into like a memory of seeing music.
Yeah.
And like being around it, but actually like playing music wasn't until like probably like middle school or high school. So
yeah, I was fortunate to have lessons at a pretty young age, and also my first experience with the bass guitar was middle school. So that's when I like kind of transitioned to more of the rock stuff.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And at what point in this timeline of you kind of, I mean, from the what was it called?
Kinder Music.
Music to, to now, at what point in that timeline did you meet the guys of One Time Weekend?
High school.
Well,
no. Sorry. We formed in high school. I met Zach.
Obviously, as you were 3 or 4 years old.
In Kinder Music. But then again, later on, he was like 13.
Okay.
And he used to play in a band down the road from my parents' house.
Okay.
And so I would go down there and just hang out because, like, that's the coolest thing that's happening on the block. Arch Street Fly.
Yeah, there you go.
So I would go down and hang out at that house, and one day I walk in and this little, like, tiny kid with, like, the biggest curly hair is shredding the Freebird solo. Like 13 years old, just like shredding them.
That explains so much about you guys.
Yeah, and that was the first time I met Zach. And then we hit it off and we jammed together and we both like had a blast.
Yep.
And then nothing happened. And then in high school, he reached out. We were all in high school. He reached out and was like, hey, I'm trying to put together like a group.
Yep.
Would you be interested in playing bass? And
yep.
I was like, yeah, man, that sounds like fun. So,
history. And this group was called One Time Weekend at the time.
No.
Okay. So I want to hear it because I think everyone that's going to be listening to this, including myself, is dying to know where does this band name come from. I know there's got to be a good story behind it.
So it originated as Jammin' and Groovin',
Okay.
or JAG for short.
Okay.
And that was just when it was a trio. It was me, Ben, and Zach.
Yep.
And then Adam joined the band, and we were like, let's rebrand.
Yep.
And we rebranded to Ragtop Doozy,
Okay.
which was the precursor to One Time Weekend.
Oh man, so that's like 4 different iterations.
Yeah.
And finally you landed on.
And One Time Weekend was the name of a song that we wrote that people really seemed to love. So we were like,
Got it.
you know, maybe there's something there. It's 3 of the most common words in the English language, and it doesn't really mean anything. So people can
Gotcha.
apply their own.
Because I have my own like story that I play out when I hear it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like when I hear that band name, yeah. Like if I were to close my eyes right now and just
Yeah.
someone were to say, imagine the moment that we just like fell on that band name, I would close my eyes and probably think like, you guys had a really crazy weekend together. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like some sort of weekend where you maybe like went really far away from home.
Took a bunch of peyote.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Peyote with the like just like the band to like really get
Yeah.
on a spiritual level with each other, like Led Zeppelin shit, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then you're like, this is the one time we do this.
Yeah.
We're never gonna do
Yeah.
this again. And you get back home and you're like, I've got it. I've got the band name.
One Time Weekend. Let's go with that story. That's a lot cooler. No, I don't think we were cooler, or I don't think we were cool enough to do that. We did have a couple of fun like drunk weekends on the beach, but it wasn't really like anything on a spiritual level. Yeah, we were just rehearsing. Like, you know, we weren't really partiers. We're still not really partiers. But
I could tell, like, you guys are all like, and we've hung out with you guys plenty of times. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, like most recently it was the Hartford Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, we shared a bill on that.
exactly. So, but there's been so many other times, obviously around here a lot.
Yeah.
You guys are all just really good heads on your shoulders, and like it shows in the music, it shows
Yeah.
in your trajectory and your performance
Thank
and
you.
in your success. So, one thing though is I want to hear how you would describe your sound, but for me, I have a hard time like putting my thumb on like what I would call you, because I was trying to prepare for this podcast, and I'm like, obviously just getting refreshed on the music first and foremost, just scrolling through your tunes, and like every song that comes on takes me in a whole new avenue.
Yeah. Well, we kind of came up with this term called shred funk, and that's sort of where we felt the most comfortable. But even that, it's like, because we're not really a funk band, like we have things that can get funky, but it's not like
Right.
That's
You
not
have your
where-
moments.
We have our moments,
Yeah.
right? So shred funk has been the winner so far, but I think it primarily comes down to like there are 3 primary songwriters in the group
Okay.
with 3 different voices that sort of can come together really well, but also stand alone like with the writing. So it creates a lot of diversity in the sound.
And who are those songwriters? It's you.
Myself, Adam, and Zach.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I can almost hear that. I mean, even as like, you know, someone that's not like jamming One Time Weekend every day, I can still listen to a song and be like, I can tell that that's a Zach song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can.
Um,
Especially when you get familiar with it.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, the way I would describe you guys, this is just my attempt. I was in the shower jamming out to you guys before I got here, blasting, and I was like, all right, this is like disco funk rock painted with a shredder, like a shred brush.
Yeah, a shred brush. I like that.
Or
Yeah.
it's disco funk rock on level 100 Guitar Hero.
That's cool. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you
yeah,
guys
I
are
like- yeah.
because the shred thing is there.
Yeah.
Like, the songs really highlight your guys' technical abilities
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Especially your guitar players, like, you guys shred.
Yeah.
But then, like, you also are getting those, like, the disco influence, the rock influence. Like, who are some of your influences? Obviously, being a bass player
Yeah.
and vocalist, like I imagine you love Rush, Geddy Lee, or
I am a big fan of Rush.
Yeah.
But I'm not the biggest fan in the band.
Oh,
that
yeah.
would probably be Ben, the drummer.
Of course.
So I do love Rush, but I'm more of a. It's funny, like I have a lot of influences. Early on, like younger stuff, like the Chili Peppers were big.
Yep.
But I also have been getting into more singer-songwriter stuff since then.
Yep.
Which I think is my forte when it comes to writing.
Yep.
Because I'm not the most technical person in the band. Like if Adam writes something technical, I'll learn it.
Right.
But that's not where my brain goes when
That's
I'm writing.
not what comes out for you.
It's not what comes out
Yep.
for me. But I love Paul Simon. I really like this band, Mother's Cake.
Oh.
They're from like Europe.
Nice.
But they're this. It's like Chili Peppers meets like metal. Like it's really cool. Like, I don't even know. It's like
Bring
that's
it on,
shred
man,
funk.
yeah.
That's like because
Okay.
it has this like. Oh, it's so cool. Like I recommend you check them out. But just
One
like
more time, Mother's
Cake.
Cake.
Yeah, I almost say Mother's Milk every time because of the Chili Peppers. So I
yeah.
have to like be Mother's Cake is what they're called. They just got a new drummer today, so I don't know what that's gonna sound like. But
Dude, so what's with everyone getting...
I don't know, dude. There's something New Moon or something going on.
Yeah, new drummers for everyone. I'm like,
Ugh.
now I'm shaking in my boots. I'm like, who's next? Is it me?
Is it you? You getting a call? No, I doubt that. I doubt that.
Well, dude, I want to shift gears a little bit to talking about that. And just, this is like a debrief, you know, even for me still. I was just so impressed by that Masquerade of Madness show you guys played.
Thank you.
Between the vendors, the performers, your performance, the attendance, the marketing you guys did leading up to it. I mean, everything. It was a huge amount of work I could see that went into that.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you had guests like Taz. How did you even meet this guy?
So Taz, we met for the first time at Peach Fest
Okay.
last summer,
Yep.
2023, and he sat in on a song with us. And I mean, anyone that's heard Taz understands like the richness that is his tone.
Yeah.
like it's just like this kid can play circles around anyone, but has so much soul. Like when he
Yeah.
plays, like it's just, oh my God, he's incredible. So anyway, we
Yeah.
fell in love. We're like, this guy's awesome. We
Yeah.
got to get him involved when we do the Masquerade, because we were trying to call in a bunch of our friends that we met that year. And
Whether it was
just-
Peach or just throughout your
the Twiddle sphere, like,
Yep.
or Twiddleverse, I should say.
Twiddleverse, yep.
So just trying to like make it a big party with people that we knew were gonna bring it, and it kind of it really just worked out. Like it, you know.
Who was the brain behind the planning of all that? I think I'm sitting in the room with you.
So I can't take all the credit,
I wouldn't say yeah.
but a lot of the ideation of it came down to me and my friend Brian Mester, who's looks like Frank Zappa.
Great.
Hangs
Yeah.
around the Hartford scene a lot. Very creative guy. So the two of us came up with the concept and developed that further. He did more of the logistical planning and like getting the
Like the
display.
vendors.
Yeah, the vendors, the performers,
Yep.
all that big stuff.
Yep.
I did more of the music side of things, that
Right.
kind of production, and which makes sense. And honestly, I was very happy to have the help, because that meant I got to focus on
Yeah,
that.
right.
And I did more of like the
Because you had full audio, full video recorded,
Mhm.
multicam. I
Yeah.
mean, you're coordinating guests for every single song, or if there's not guests, then you're coordinating all these really fun spin-offs of your originals, like just
Mhm.
Easter egg after Easter egg for the audience. It was
Yeah.
just nonstop, just like
Yeah.
Oh
It was
my
almost
God.
too much, dude.
No.
We really like got to that threshold, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is performing well and
Yeah.
having a good time.
Totally.
And if you have too much going on, it can kind of take away from that. I found I'm getting my threshold's growing. I think
totally. Yeah.
As I do it more and more, but like that was it went so smoothly. I kind of like was laughing about it after. I was like, I can't believe we actually pulled that off, because there was a lot going on behind the scenes with, like you said, just if someone forgets to come on stage, and they're upstairs in the green room.
It was
just
almost
awkward.
It was like borderline, like it almost felt like a play, or like, you know, what that went off without a hitch, because there has to be someone backstage like, all right, and cue.
Yeah.
You know, now your turn to go up.
Yeah, and there was.
There was.
Yeah.
Really?
Eddie did that.
See?
Yeah.
It was like that, it's so like choreographed, but
Yep.
like it was effortless, because I saw you up there just like smiling and looking comfortable.
Yeah.
How did you feel up there? Were you just shitting bricks, or were you?
So, fun fact, I'm always shitting bricks whenever I play.
Really?
It doesn't matter if it's here or at fucking House of Blues.
Really?
Like, it really doesn't matter. But I definitely started the set a little nervous. But then I was just like, I don't know, you kind of have to like let yourself feel it and then let it go.
Yep.
Because there's not really much. Once you're up there, it's like the thing that is your job now is to perform.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and also, you know, like, I like what you're saying too. It's like you want to be able to get off stage and actually remember all those special moments,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes when you're so caught up in like making sure everything goes right and you hit all those checkpoints, you know, in Guitar Hero, right? Then all of a sudden you're like, you kind of forget like everything that happened as soon as you get off stage, and you're like, well, that just whizzed right by.
Yeah, was that good or bad? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it just, maybe it just was, but.
Well, I remember like when we played Infinity, we did this huge Halloween show there.
Yes. Yeah.
And feeling the same thing. I'm like, dude, you gotta calm down right now, because if you don't, like, you're not gonna take it all in and like have these like memories.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like this blur of like stress, and then you get off stage and you're like, I think that was okay. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is really tough, like letting go, especially for people that tend to be more on the like, I'm not gonna say high strung for myself, but maybe a little high strung. But like just nervous, like, you know, people that have a lot of energy and that really care a lot, and so I think that show was a really great example of what we can do, and some of those guests were like just like my favorite sit-ins that we've ever had. So,
there were some legendary moments, and is this all on YouTube at this point?
Everything's on YouTube. It's on Bugs. It's on Spotify now.
Okay, so in the description of this video, guys, I'm gonna have a link to this whole show, and you guys need to tell me a couple highlighted points you want them to scroll to. I'll tell you, mine is when Gubb.
I know what you're gonna say.
Go, you go.
When he took his pants off. Yeah. Oh man, what song was that? I think it was Du Hast.
Dude,
there's like that Rammstein song Du Hast that we covered.
Yeah.
That was his idea, by the way.
That was his idea.
Singing that song. He asked about that, and we were like, I'd never heard it, and then I turned it on. I was like, this is gonna be awesome.
You know what? He knew you guys would say yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You guys are very like open-minded to like not like, you can be serious and have like some really intense like arrangements, and then you can totally just like, this is our like party song, and like we're not taking ourselves that seriously right now, you know.
You have to, because at the end of the day, the reason we're all doing this is because 8 years ago we tried it and it was really fun, and it's like, why not try to make it fun now?
Is that how long you guys been a band? 8
I think
years?
it's been about 2016. So
how old were you when you guys first started this band? You said high school.
I was 18. I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Zach would have been a sophomore.
Oh my god.
Ben was a freshman in college, and Adam was a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, watch that video. That's one moment I want you guys to find, is the Du Hast where he, well, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. What about you? A couple memorable times during that show.
So, okay, so one of them would definitely be, we kind of have a newer song called Crypto Joe that we've been playing, and a lot of these songs we never even ran with everyone.
Really?
We did some sound check stuff,
yeah.
but like that song in particular, Crypto Joe, your horn players from West End Blend came up with horn parts that I had never heard until that moment in time.
They tend to
and
do
I remember
that.
being like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. But
It's not FM radio, it's okay. Yeah.
this is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. And I hadn't heard it until the moment, and you might be able to see me smile on camera, but Crypto Joe had a really good energy,
Yep.
plus an absolute face melter solo from Taz.
It's amazing.
I know. Yes. And then if you want to be impressed, like Taz, Adam, and Zach did an arrangement of We Three Kings
Yep.
that has a lot of like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So if you're into that tapping stuff.
Dude, I remember seeing that, just like, they must be having like the times of their life.
Yeah.
Because they just got a free pass to like guitar out right
Yeah,
now, you know, go
Guitar
full
Hero
guitar
out,
nerd,
doing
you
the
know?
star power.
Yeah.
Oh, we
But
should do that.
That's, yeah. And so what about
Yeah.
for tonight? I mean, tonight, obviously, we are not available to play. Profundo is out in Colorado with Holly. Paulie is just getting back from Jam Cruise. And yeah, he's probably just getting some sleep finally. Jesse's across the street. He's running stuff over there. I mean, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
So you guys graciously came in at pretty last minute nature, and you came up with a whole plan. What's on the docket?
Okay, so we're doing. First off, thank you for letting us do it, because we're stoked to be back here for
Absolutely,
sure.
dude. It's an honor.
Yeah, we're doing our first set is going to be all rock covers, and then our second set is going to be all originals. So I won't spoil what it's going to be, but it'll be everything from like Rage Against the Machine to the Allman Brothers. So
Okay.
It's a weird balance, but that's just one time weekend.
Yes, it is. It really is, man.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing about you. And honestly, there's a lot of bands, like, I feel like in our scene particularly, that like it's just it's hard to put them in a box.
Yeah.
It's hard to define what we do. West End Blend has the word blend in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're just a blend of all these different influences and sounds. Like, Paulie's really into like he's into jazz and hip hop and classic funk, and then we've got Profundo, who loves the Dead and Fish, and then Erica is into like the neo soul. I mean, it all just kind of comes together into a blend.
You guys are. It works out well, I think, for you.
Well, for everyone, man. I mean, for you guys, for sure. But everyone's got their own like kind of version of just being multi-genre.
Totally, and
You
it's
know?
funny because I think we call it the jam scene, but it's really that. It's like all these bands that don't really fit in other categories, and maybe have a little bit more emphasis on the live show. Like, that's really.
I was actually going to ask you earlier. You know, you guys have some albums, and of course you've got these multicam, high quality audio live shows now under your belt. And I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but we certainly do, which is struggling to kind of struggling to convey that same live energy into an album, or vice versa, right? Sometimes you'll have a really good album version, and trying to make that translate live doesn't always happen. Do you guys struggle with that?
The first one.
Yeah.
I think primarily we write our music for a live setting.
Yeah.
So you run into the issue of recording it.
Yep.
Actually, so fun story about like five or 6 years ago. I was in a car with Rick from Goose, because we opened for them a couple times, and he took a special interest in the band and wanted to produce our album, our first album that came out.
Whoa.
Weekend at the Circus.
Does anyone know that? Is that like a secret?
I don't know if anyone knows that. Yeah, that might have been like 6 years ago at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, we were down in Norwalk, and he was showing us Factory Underground Studios, and he said something that I'll never forget. When you make an album, in his opinion, you can go two ways. You can capture a live band in a studio setting,
Right.
or you can make a piece of art.
Right.
Like that can be your intention, and you're not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not gonna get a piece of art if you do a live band in a studio session.
Yeah.
But like, there's a few ways to look at it, and that's sort of how I've looked at it since then. I think I'm still like kind of craving for that one-time weekend album that I feel like captures what we actually sound like.
Dude,
You know what I mean?
we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
But that's the beauty of it, is like you always change, so you never really get. Oh, you know what he said? It's you're capturing that band in that moment of time. That's what he said.
That's that time capsule. Yeah.
So I'm looking for that, and like I know the Grateful Dead, one of their albums, maybe In the Dark, they set up in a theater, and they recorded everything live, but they had everything isolated and stuff, but they played live to get that energy, because that's what they were, was a live band.
That's where they're used. That setting they're used to. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we try something like that.
Yeah, I've always found that, like, when we get into the studio, we almost take on a different persona.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like West End Blend on stage has a persona, right? Like, One Time Weekend on stage has this persona, which is like tons of energy, really keeps that audience engaged and going. And it's meant for live, because that's what people go out and they want, right? Like, they want to dance, they want to have a great time and not be, put to sleep, I suppose, right? And then when we get into the studio, like, we abandoned that persona, and we're almost going into like you said, like the more an artful approach, and it's a completely different, I guess persona is the best way I can put it, like the studio persona. We've never been able to marry the two.
Have you tried like live recording settings?
The way we record has always been, for the most part, is the rhythm section is recorded live. So we'll be
to get the nice cohesion.
Yeah, we'll be in like a room, usually isolated.
Yeah.
But all in the same room, and we'll be running the whole song front to end, no stops, right? And just do takes until we feel like the rhythm section got a good take, and then from there we'll overdub, maybe overdub guitars, and re-record other parts, so that way we at least have the drum and bass track that's like together.
Yeah, that's you ever heard of Theo Katzman?
Yeah.
You should check out. He's got a session from his last album that came out, and they did everything live, like all in one room. It's not the most amazing sounding. Well, actually, I think it sounds amazing.
They always get great tones. Yeah.
But it's like he had a little bit of an epiphany, because he was like, the Beatles used to record live in the same room.
Good point.
Like, I'm sure they do overdubs, but if it was good enough for them, we're still listening to that music.
I know. Sometimes we get so far down that rabbit hole.
I think so.
And it has to be so perfect.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my band actually recently about this. There is a certain art form in knowing when to put the paintbrush down.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was listening to another podcast today at the gym that brought that same concept back up. It was this guy, Jelly Roll. He's like this new country phenom right now. And he was talking about how, with his studio stuff, the analogy he used was that there's a fine line between buffing the paint until it's nice and pretty and shiny, and buffing the paint completely off and it looks like shit.
Yep.
Like, too much. If you buff it a little past that point, you ruin the whole paint job.
Yeah.
And it's like knowing when to just hang up the song and say it's done. Because we have all this technology now, we have all these options.
There's too many buttons on the microwave. That's what they say.
The Beatles didn't have that.
They didn't even have microwaves. So yeah, that's very true. And also, it's like you kind of have to fuck up to figure out when enough is enough.
Yeah.
You have to be shitty at it for a little bit.
Totally.
And then all of a sudden one day you'll be like, oh, I should stop here, otherwise more paint is gonna come off. So yeah,
it's trial and error for
good
sure.
Analogy.
Yeah.
All
right, so anything coming up that you guys want to promote or plug right now?
We got some stuff that we're working on that has not been announced yet, so I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
But we got some shows coming up. We're doing like some weekender runs, nothing crazy right now. We got some festivals in the summertime that we're going to be doing in Pennsylvania, and some stuff that's in the works that's really exciting that I can't share yet. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll be back at Infinity Hall in December though. I probably could say that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, any follow up to the Infinity show?
There will be a follow up for sure.
Because that was so packed, but I don't believe it was sold out.
It was not sold out.
So we
No.
got to do that.
We got to sell it out.
We got to sell that out.
Yeah.
I think that's on the to-do list around here.
Yeah.
So, awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
And I can't wait for the show tonight.
This is going to be fun.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Check out all the links in the description. It's going to be the link to that show that they played. If you want to give any ticket links,
Cool.
send them my way. And, of course, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.